This is one of those people. She got in trouble, and I'm going to use the word she, even though she likes to be called they. I have no problem using pronouns that somebody likes. If they're respectful to me, I'll call them whatever they want. But this is Alan Walker, and she does not deserve that level of respect that I would give most people. She got in trouble expressing opinions about pedophiles, about trying to normalize pedophiles. And quite frankly, I don't think she should have gotten in trouble for that. I think maybe she should have been arrested and put on some sort of watch list for her opinions about pedophiles and normalizing it. She tried to basically say that pedophiles aren't that bad. In fact, she mentioned this term that I've found out years ago. She called and said we should stop calling the word pedophiles. We should call them MAPs. And what a MAP is, an MAP, is a minor attracted person. And you're thinking maybe, who would say something like that? Pastor Steve, what right person in their mind would think anything like that? Well, let me give you her own words here for the next minute.
Well, because I think it's important to use terminology for groups that members of that group want others to use for them. And MAP advocacy groups like Before You Act have advocated for use of the term MAP. They've advocated for it primarily because it's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile. A lot of people, when they hear the term pedophile, they automatically assume that it means a sex offender. And that isn't true, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions about attractions toward minors. I've definitely heard the idea that you brought up, though, that the use of the term minor attracted person suggests that it's okay to be attracted to children. But using a term that communicates who someone is attracted to doesn't indicate anything about the morality of that attraction.
Some of the things she said in that video interview that got her fired as a professor of Old Dominion University, she said, it's something you can't help. You're an adult who is sexually attracted to a child, and I apologize for saying that, but that's what she's talking about. It's something that you can't help, and you are born that way, and you can't change it. She goes on to say that calling these people bad is very harmful to them. It's harmful to their psyche, and it's harmful to them. It's not a fair thing to say. And she actually went on in that video, the part that I didn't show you, to suggest that we should decriminalize this. We should decriminalize people for their own personal preferences. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I have been saying MAPs for years. In fact, at a previous church I was laughed at because I said this was something that was coming and we should be careful of it. And we should watch out for these people. And because people have that term all over their Twitter handles, it just says MAPs and they're advocating it. You can't be a certain person and express a certain belief on Twitter and they'll kick you off, but you can put in your byline that you are attracted to children and there's nothing wrong with it. We are damaging children. And there's an entire group of our society that wants to sexualize children. I could give you example. Netflix, just I think it was 2 years ago, and that show that they did, Cuties, and exploiting little girls about it. A young boy, he's older now, but a few years ago, Desmond, a 9-year-old boy who was stripping for a group of adult homosexual men inside New York City, and then later was on Good Morning America as they praised him and talk about how great it was, that he was a cross-dresser. They're sexualizing our children. And by the way, this transgender movement going towards kids, if you at age 10 have the ability to consent, to allow yourself to be changed from one gender to the other, then why can't you at age 10 consent to sexual activity with an adult? They are lowering the age of consent all across Europe, these enlightened countries. Why? Because they're coming after our kids. So as all this is going on, as people like Alan Walker get to educate the next generation of Americans in college universities, as places, things like Netflix, broadcast things about sexualizing little girls, as all of that is going on and taking place, may I ask you this, and I think Jesus is going to ask us all of this one day, who are you protecting? Who are you protecting? Hey, when they came to sexualize children, when they came to hurt kids, when they came to damage kids inside a schoolroom, who did you protect? Again, not to point out or make any points off of the tragedy, But I've been hearing the stories, especially of that one young man, and I believe the University of Michigan wore his number or honored his number 42, a football player at Oxford, who had charged and attempted to take down that young man and lost his life. That's somebody who was doing something to try to protect somebody else. So who are you protecting today? Maybe it won't be at the point of a gun, but there's somebody, and particularly a child, who needs you. What will Jesus find, and what is our responsibility today?